Of all the playoff caliber games that occurred in Week 10 of the high school football season, I shunned them all. That's right, I didn't watch any one of the important games, and I went to what was possibly the least important game. That is, if you don't take into account pride, respect, and bragging rights in the Dual County League. I'm Zuri and you're watching The Huddle. We're going to watch some highlights and then bring in Boston Globe High School sports editor Bob Holmes to discuss the playoff implications from the past week. In a game that meant nothing, undefeated Lincoln-Sudbury hosted undefeated Concord-Carlisle in a Dual County League showdown. Lincoln-Sudbury being the Division 1A team, and Concord-Carlisle being the Division 3 team, there was a bit of pride on the line. Concord-Carlisle's George Tran blew up any talk of small or large league. The 215-pound running back ran for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns, and teammate Quan Culberth ran for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns himself as Concord-Carlisle kicked Lincoln-Sudbury off the bus 27-0. In Andover, the Golden Warriors beat Merrimack Valley rival Lowell 26-21. Andrew Koch tallied 283 yards of total offense and 4 touchdowns. There are 24 of 34 teams that have already punched their tickets to the playoffs. 17 more are playoff bound after Week 10. Bear with me here. We have Chelmsford, Lynn English, Duxbury, Wakefield, Walpole, Pembroke, Newburyport, Hamilton Wenham, Bishop Fian, Cardinal Spellman, Shawsheen, Mashpee, Cathedral, Chelsea, Nantucket, and Latin Academy. Now, Latin Academy actually backed their way into the playoffs with a loss against O'Brien this Thursday. Bob, one, how did that happen, and did Week 10 go as suspected?
It never goes as you plan. And the worst thing you can say in high school sports this time of year is the dreaded three-way tie, because every league has a different way of doing it and the MIAA doesn't get involved. In this case, the league said the schools that went the most recent to the postseason are out. That left Latin Academy in.
Okay, now this is, we still got 10 teams that we need to get in the playoffs, so that means Thanksgiving is going to be particularly more important than it has been in prior years. We're going to be looking at a number of games. Is there any bold predictions that you have that we can be looking forward to?
I think Brockton is not going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to lose to Bridgewater and Raynham and finish under 500. And despite being 2-0 in the league, they will not go to the playoffs. Instead, it'll be New Bedford.
That'll be interesting to see if Brockton does. They did have a pretty big win this last week against New Bedford. So we'll see. We're going to talk more turkey next week in the Huddle. For all these stories and more, of course, go to boston.com/schools. For past episodes of The Huddle, go to boston.com/huddle. I'm Zuri. He's Bob. We'll catch you next week for that Thanksgiving preview.